Welcome to the Creator Resource Virtual Panels, where as often as possible, we'll be hosting discussions that cover topics that are helpful to you all as you navigate the comic book industry. Today, we're going to be discussing something that many of us have had to adjust to this year, and that is working from home. Comic book freelancing, you work from home a lot, you work from a studio, but obviously a lot of people this year have had to just work from home, period, with the pandemic going on. So specifically, we're going to be discussing what it's like to be freelance from home, and our panelists will share some tips and tricks to help you stay productive. We're joined for this panel by Jey Pawlik and Anoosha Syed, and I will let them say a quick hello and tell you a bit about themselves before we dive into the discussion. Jey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Jey Pawlik. I'm a non-binary queer artist. I use they, them pronouns, and I've done 2 long-standing webcomics, Gender Slices and Dead City, both that finished up this year. And I've been in multiple anthologies throughout the years, like We're Still Here and Score. And I'm a full-time freelancer. And that's it.
That's amazing. Those are all great things. It's always awkward to end your introduction, be like, I have no more.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
Anoosha.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Anoosha Syed. I am a freelance illustrator and character designer for animation. I work primarily as a children's book illustrator, and I've illustrated over 20 picture books now. And then as for my other work, some of my past clients have included Disney Junior, DreamWorks TV, and Google and Netflix. And I have been full-time freelancing for about 5 years now. And that's the end.
That makes it a lot easier to move on to the next thing. Let's just all end that. End of sentence, end of paragraph. Let's move on. Yeah. So yeah, as I kind of mentioned in the intro here, this year has thrown a lot of curveballs out to everybody and has forced people to really adjust to the work from home life. So prior to self-isolation mode, I guess, Anoosha, you just answered this, but my first question was, how long have you been freelancing full time? So Jey, did you mention this in your intro too?
No, I'm going on year 3.
Okay. And Anoosha, you said 5.
Yeah, I would say that I graduated 5 years ago. I was working full-time and freelancing for about a year. Then I was full-time freelance. And then for a hot second, I was working a day job. And then now I'm completely freelance.
Too much to juggle. And
yeah. 9 to 5 is not for me.
That is totally fair. It's there's something for everybody. 9 to 5 is sometimes not for certain people. Freelancing is not for certain people. You just have to have a certain mind frame for kind of every aspect. So what was it like for you both when you first began freelancing full time? So I guess just kind of, again, it's always such an adjustment period. So what was that like? Was that, Jey, want to start?
Similar to Anoosha, that after I graduated, I also did service jobs and retail jobs while also freelancing, and that was hard for a while, but it got my name out there, so that I could eventually switch over completely to just freelancing. And I find that now I wouldn't be able to hold a day job because my freelancing is my main thing now. I've worked really hard to get to that place. But starting, I think, was very difficult. And if I didn't have a service job at the time, I don't know if I would have been able to build that name for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Anoosha? Yeah, sure.
Sorry. No.
Oh, were you going to say something else? Sorry.
No,
The end. The end. Yeah, every time we end, we have to say the end.
Over.
Over. Yeah. So for me, like I said, after I graduated, I worked for about a year in working as a designer in animation, and then I was working children's books on the side at nighttime, just as like a side thing. And then I realized I don't like working in animation. I like picture books more. So that's the reason I left my job and started freelancing. Thankfully, I'm very privileged in that like I was living with my parents and they were able to support me through that transition. So my main issues that I was having transitioning into a freelancer was more in the sense of like, I'm disorganized and I'm not a good business person, and just trying to figure out the logistics of, I have no actual boss. And so I don't really have anyone hovering over me and telling me exactly when to do my job. It's like all on me. So that kind of transition, that was like the hardest part for me, and just figuring out my workflow and figuring out just organization and things like that. That was rough, and I still haven't figured it out. The end.
Actually, this was going to be a question later on, but that's a great segue into something that Jey and I had been discussing when we were talking about putting this panel together in the first place, and that is schedules. Mm-hmm. And building a schedule for yourself. How, Jey, I guess specifically here, because Anoosha's already mentioned that like that's not a strength, but how did you build a schedule and maintain that?
So I think it helps that I'm definitely a morning person. Mm-hmm. I just wake up usually between like 7 and 8, regardless of any alarms. And 2, I do have a partner that does do a 9 to 5 job. So in the morning, I will wake up with my partner and we will have breakfast, and then we will both get to work. Before the pandemic, it was, hey, my partner's going to go commute to work. And then now it's, hey, we both work from home. Also, I see your cat. Yeah. But so I think that helps me give myself like a schedule to work off of. So like I wake up with my partner regardless. And then at 9 o'clock, I start work, or 9-ish, I start work. And then I have my like set breaks of, I work at 9, I have lunch every day at noon, and then we end at 4:30. And I think that like having a partner that does have a like office job, a 9 to 5 job, helps me feel like that's the time that I need to also be working, because I don't want to be working when we're both at like during leisure time. So like I'm not working at like 7 p.m. So then we can spend time together.
Yeah. And Anoosha, again, you mentioned it wasn't a strength, but obviously you've had to figure out some sort of scheduling for yourself. So how do you kind of cope with that? I
have to be really strict on myself. Cause like before I would have like the bad habit of, I wouldn't have like set timings for myself. Like I'm also a morning person. So I'd like sit down at my desk at 9, but then I'd take a 2-hour break for lunch. And then I'd wander off and do my errands at some point and just like keep getting distracted. So I would get off of my desk at some point at like 11 at nighttime, but still not get that much work done throughout the day because I keep getting distracted. So I realized that 9 to 5, those are my hours now. And then during that time, I don't do anything else. And then once 5 o'clock hits, then I don't do any work. That was like the biggest thing for me to like establish those boundaries. So I'm only working during these times. And then after that, no emails, no anything. And to your point about like working with a partner now, I'm working from home, recently married, and we are just constantly just like not getting any work done because we're just like distracting each other and being like, I'm bored. I don't want to work anymore. Let's play video games. So this has not been good for me.
Sorry. I feel like I'm the exact opposite of that.
Side eye right now.
Where me and my partner are like working from home together, and I feel like both of us are kind of more productive with like both of us being like, oh, we have to. This is the set out like work time, and I have to work right now because Michelle's working, and I gotta do it. Because work.
Yeah.
So I feel like more productive with somebody else in my apartment with me.
What was it like before? Was it like harder?
It was harder actually.
Okay.
But I have put like more strict rules on myself of like I'm allowed to check Twitter once per day and never again. I can't go on Twitter.
That's smart.
So like I found that like taking a really long break from Twitter. So like in the summer I took like 3 weeks off of it.
Oh, nice.
So I found that helped me like kind of remove myself from it. And then when I came back to the city, I just didn't care as much about it. So I'm like, oh, I'm not on Twitter as much anymore. And I'm getting more work done and my partner's here and we're both working together.
Nice.
That's my experience.
I feel like social media and video games are like both the bane of my existence. Like Anoosha, you were mentioning video games, and like I legit had a moment on the weekend where I was playing a game when I have a deadline, and I like thought to myself, I was like, video games are bad. Like this is bad. And I mean, I love them, but I sink so much time into them. Like I love getting consumed with them. So I really and truly feel that right now.
Yeah.
It's like you would rather be doing just about anything else when you have like bits and notes and stuff.
I'd rather clean, and that's like a big deal for me.
Oh, me too.
How do I get that like in my life? Because like I'm just like, I'll put it off for like a few more days. It's the weekend, so oh no. It's not great. But I cleaned recently and my apartment's wonderful now.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. So again, this year has been a bit of an exception, and I'm trying to make this advice, applicable for kind of any time, but obviously it's hard to ignore the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic right now, and things are a hot mess. But before this, and in theory after this, do you feel like you would go back to work from home? Would you seek a studio kind of situation? Did you do a studio beforehand? And if you did that help in any way? Does that make sense? That's like the most ADHD way to like tell that question. My light just went out, but yeah.
So I attempted to be in a studio for like, I think it was like 2 or 3 months. I was in oh shoot, I don't remember what it's called. The one that Megan does.
Oh, the Embassy?
The Embassy, that's it.
Oh, nice.
So I had
Megan's.
a desk. Yeah, Megan, one of the Megans. I had a desk there for like 3 months, and it was really nice to go in and work with other people, but on my own thing. And then they had to move, and it was just a little too far for me. It was like an hour and a bit, and I was like, that's not worth it when I can just work from home. So I ended up going back to work from home. And I will say it is hard as a like more extroverted person to spend all day, every day by yourself. And since the pandemic, I will say it has been nice to have my partner home all the time. I feel like there's this like almost co-working space between the two of us. And after this is all over, I would like to seek that again, if I can.
Yeah, for me, I was freelancing like on my own for most of my career, and like it just was not working out. Like I hated it so much. I'm an introverted person, but like I learned that I still need people around, and like I missed the like having coworkers, having just people around so I can talk to. And like I also felt that like working from home, I also never really felt like in that work mode. I kind of needed to have that experience of being outside of home, so I could really separate myself from like, okay, this is home time, this is leisure time, versus this is my office space, this is my work time. So last year I joined a co-working space. So I was living in Mississauga up until recently, so that is like an hour and a half commute, but I needed it. Like there wasn't anything in Mississauga like that. So I was there for a year. It was great. And then this happened and now I'm at home and I hate it. And so when when this is all over, then I definitely want to go back to a co-working space, or a studio would also be really nice. I did get in contact with Megan before, but like she was like way too in the city for me. Like it would have been like at least 2 hours, so it wasn't an option then. But now I'm downtown, so I don't know.
I feel like we need to have like an ad for the Megans. Go to the embassy.
Yeah. One of the Megans will help you.
Yeah. One or both. Sorry, I cut you off, Anoosha, though.
No,
sorry.
that was the end.
Okay. I do really like this and appreciate this.
Anoosha, do you find that like when you're working from home now that like you have a hard time like separating like living space versus workspace?
I definitely do. And like the other thing was that before my co-working space, when I was living with my parents, I also we had like a study room area, so that I was able to separate it a bit more of like, this is my workspace, and it was downstairs. So it was also like my commute downstairs. But now I'm in like a 1-bedroom and there's not a lot of space. And like, it's definitely like all of my worlds are merged together, and I never really feel like my work or leisure mode is turned on or off. So I'm never really in work mode, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Distracted.
I also feel that for a long time I was having a hard time with that as well. And then I got a like tablet to draw on. Like I got an Android to draw on.
Yeah.
And then now I find that I'm spending less time at my desk area, which is here, versus the couch, which is over here.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
And I'm like, that's the leisure area, and then this area is like my workspace.
Yeah.
And even though it's a 1-bedroom apartment as well, I find that like even just having that like 10 feet of space between leisure and work helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta set those boundaries somehow.
I think you've both sort of unintentionally stumbled on another big problem too with living in the city, is that we have really expensive cost of living and like super small homes, super expensive small homes. And, you know, especially when we are in a situation where we live with a partner, or if we have kids or whatever, like overcrowding is just like a very real problem right now. So I guess that just ties into everything there, kind of making it work with your partners around too. Yeah. So we're just giving it all.
If you have cats, it's a whole other thing.
It's true. I'm actually very like, Jay, you briefly saw a cameo by Kaylee, but I'm surprised she's not like all up in here, because I've got like lights and stuff happening, and cats are normally very much like, what's happening? I want to be part of this. So yeah. She's crashed like every other panel I've done, but not this one. Yeah. Okay. So kind of still speaking about your freelancing home setups, what are some must-haves for both of you, like at your desk or just kind of in general, like in your work day? What are some things that definitely get you through the days?
For me, this past year, I have been traveling quite a bit. So like I've had to be kind of flexible in like what I'm able to have on my workspace, especially now. I recently moved into a new place. I'm literally working on my kitchen counter. So there's not a lot of space to work with. But like the must-haves is my iPad that I work on, the tablet stand that I have, a cup of tea in the morning, and my headphones, and that's it. Everything else is just like a bonus.
Nice. And do you listen to music when you run podcasts?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any, like, what's your go-to listen to podcast right now?
Right now, I've been listening to a lot of Sawbones, which is like the medical history podcast, which I really like.
I love Sawbones.
It's so good.
Jay, what about you?
I guess I'm pretty similar, but I have a desk area, because I've been living in this place for over 3 years now. So I feel like I've gotten my setup pretty good. So I have my monitor in front of me, and then a smaller screen tablet that I can draw on that is also attached to my computer. That's also on a like tablet stand. And then I just kind of work between the two monitors throughout the day, depending on what I'm working on. So usually I'll do larger like animation stuff on my computer. And then if I'm working on comics or illustration, I'll use my Android tablet that I've had for almost a year now. And I'm really enjoying it. It's like the iPad, but not the iPad. And then I also like have headphones in. My partner bought me these nice noise canceling headphones because there's a lot of construction outside.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I listen to music and Spotify and podcasts and YouTube and etc.
What's your go-to right now, Jey?
I listen to Oh No, Ross and Carrie a lot.
Yay! Nice.
I like listening to the wild conspiracy theories that are happening, especially with like COVID happening. And it's been very informative. But yeah, I also have like a cup of tea with me and my water and my phone, etc.
Very nice. So something else that I think is also extremely important when you're working from home is taking care of your mental health. I mean, your mental health is important no matter what, but how do you keep yourself productive when you're in a good place and maybe in not such a good place? Do you give yourself mental health days? Like freelancers, like something you see a lot, especially like in comics too, is what? Weekends? Vacation? You don't get those. So like, how do you handle that? Like, how do you keep your mental health in check?
For me, in terms of mental health days, so I've kind of made it a rule for myself to like not work on weekends unless I have like a proper crunch going on. And that's more of like a proactive, I don't know, where I make sure I don't have the problem to begin with. So I just in general, now in the past 2 years, I've made sure I'm never overbooking myself and I don't have more than like 1 or 2 projects going on at a time. So I'm never working weekends. So that, because like before when I was working constantly, it did definitely affect my mental health. And like I was getting stressed out all the time. And I was like, no, I cannot live like this. I got to figure something else out. So there's that. And then also I don't draw any personal stuff now, which I do feel a bit bad about, but I know I can't be drawing all day for work and then just be drawing for the rest of the night. So I'll do things like maybe going on a run or doing some yoga or just like finding some way to de-stress myself out of that work mode. I've been doing a lot of cooking. That also helps. And
because this is Creator Resource, we actually have your butter chicken recipe on the website too.
Oh,
so if anybody wants to learn a very easy and delicious butter chicken tasty dinner, you can check that out too. Look at that segue.
Yeah, perfect. Seamless.
Jey, what about you?
So I'm actually very similar to Anoosha in that ever since like I also started freelancing full time, I don't work weekends and I usually don't work past like 5 o'clock. We usually, like me and my partner usually end around 4:30 anyway. So like that's kind of our point into our leisure time at the end of the night. But I do make a note that like I will not work weekends. I will not work in the evenings unless it's like absolutely necessary. But like you said, Anoosha, I don't really schedule myself too hard. I'll work on a few projects here and there, like at the same time, but they're usually small projects at the same time, or like one big one, one small one. But I find that like making sure that I have those like weekends and nights off really helps a lot. And like finding new hobbies has been really nice.
Please tell me your hobbies.
Also cooking. And I started doing a lot of tabletop RPG stuff. So I started GMing for a group of friends, and I've been really excited to find a hobby that doesn't involve drawing. because I am very bad for, I draw a lot of personal stuff at night. So I fill like a sketch page a day, just to like keep myself going. And I've been doing that for like 10 years now. I've missed a day every now and then, but like usually I'll draw in the evenings, but that's like to do studies or do thumbnails for things that I want to do in the future. Or like dumb doodles. So just something that's like different than work, and that helps me like take my mind off of work, even though it's still drawing. But usually at like 4:30, I'll start on dinner, and then that gives me that like different mindset into I'm moving from work into like leisure time mode, and cooking kind of is the start of that.
What have you loved to? Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no,
I was just gonna ask you what you liked food.
I mean, like I'm a self-learned cook, I guess. I've worked in kitchens and stuff before, but I found that I couldn't do that as a job. I have to only do it for myself, or else I won't want to do it.
Oh yeah.
But I cook all manner of things. I really like cooking in a rice cooker.
Ooh.
So I do a lot of like pastas and whole rice dishes in rice cookers. And I have a growing pile of cookbooks that I like to work from.
Nice. What's your favorite cookbook? I've never bought a cookbook before.
My favorite cookbook is the rice cooker cookbook. It's just like one pot recipe book where it's like you throw everything into the rice cooker and then it cooks it within like half an hour.
That's so cool.
Or sometimes you have to like cook things ahead of time. But I also bought an air fryer recently, and I've been having a lot of fun trying that out.
You're gonna have to tell me about this like rice cooker stuff, because like I got an Instant Pot not long ago, and there are too many recipes that are like saute stuff in this and then do this. Like, I just want to throw stuff in it and like magically a meal comes out of it. Like that's what I thought I was getting. It's not what it actually is. This is why you should read things before you buy them. So you should send me some of those recipes.
Will do. There's a very good like chicken and rice one where you do have to saute the chicken in the rice cooker first.
Okay.
But you just kind of, once the chicken is cooked, you throw everything else in and it cooks all together and it's delicious.
Yummy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned like hobbies and stuff too, but are there any hobbies you've specifically picked up besides cooking in, this year? These times that have helped you really just kind of manage everything?
So as soon as like COVID started, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to be productive as possible. And so I did a lot of things at the beginning. I did some embroidery. I learned to tie-dye. I tried my hand at punch needle. I got like, these are all kits for everything. I just went to Michael's or like Etsy and like I bought kits. I did a lot of cooking. I bought some gouache paints. That was fun. I tried needle felting as well.
Ooh.
I wanted to do knitting, but I said there aren't any kits for that. So if you guys have experience with knitting and you have seen a kit, please let me know. But anyway, and then like, September was my wedding, and then like I got kind of sidetracked, and then since then I haven't learned anything new, but I kind of want to now. Oh, I did some gardening as well. I made a tomato.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, a single tomato.
This year feels like the year I lived in Prince Edward Island, and I just collected hobbies for like the entire year I was there. Like, just that's what COVID quarantine is.
Yeah.
Jay, what about you? Tell us about your hobbies.
Cooking has always been my hobby away from art, and I didn't really associate it as being a hobby for a long time. I was just like, this is a thing that I have to do to live.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I find cooking just really relaxing. Like, I go to my kitchen and I cut veggies and stuff for like half an hour, and I don't really listen to anything. I don't multitask. I just kind of like stand in the kitchen and cook and watch the thing cook and then focus on that, and that's been
so nice.
really nice. And then I've recently got into plants. So I have a lot of plants around the apartment now. So we bought a big palm, a cat palm that I've been taking care of.
I have one also right here.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you can't really see because
it's a little dark. But we have some aloes and some cactuses, and I have a Venus flytrap.
Ooh.
So she's very hard to take care of. Well, she's not hard to take care of now that I know how to do it, but a lot of people are like, Venus flytraps are so hard to take care of. And I was like, I'll just look up the rules and then follow them, and then she's fine.
What do you feed your Venus flytrap?
Just water and sun.
Oh, it doesn't. Don't they eat meat? Or am I thinking of something else?
So they don't have to eat anything. There's a lot of things that recommend against feeding them because that might kill one of or it might give too much energy into digesting it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my plant has eaten one bug, and other than that, it's been really easy to take care of because you're supposed to use distilled water instead of tap water.
Okay.
And that's most of the problem that people have when taking care of a Venus flytrap. But I did have to take her up to the cottage with me over the summer. I couldn't leave her by herself or else she'd die. But yeah, so I just have cooking and plants. I tried to grow some onions, and I think it was I made 6 onions at the end of it and ate them, and they were fine. They were really small, but I am in an apartment with no balcony. And then I've been GMing for some friends, and that's been really fun to learn how to dungeon master for people, and how to write campaigns. And it's a very different experience than writing comics.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And that's my hobbies. It's not a lot, but it's what I got.
No, I mean, hobbies are it doesn't matter if you have a lot or just have 1 or 2, they are just what gets you through,
Yeah.
And they make things fun. It's fine. You're allowed to collect hobbies, whether you're trying new things like Anoosha, whether you find something that, you love and you're just going to stick with it, whatever.
Yeah, I will say that everything I listed, they're not hobbies. These are just things I attempted and never did ever again.
I find tie-dye is the peak kind of COVID hobby, I think.
I made a nice pajama t-shirt and that's it. I'm done.
I find that I'm too scared to try a bunch of things like that, or else I will purchase 10 kits and then never use them again. I don't want to be that person who buys the skis and then never skis.
Oh yeah.
I think that's my struggle too, is over the last several years, I've done a lot of downsizing in my apartment. And when this all started, I was let's buy puzzles. Let's buy this. And I was where am I going to put this? If I have to move an apartment, do I want to take this with me? And that's what kind of levels me out.
Yeah.
Do I want to pack this and bring this to another home someday? And
does
it's
it bring
no.
you joy?
Yeah. It might for 5 minutes until I forget about it and shove it in a box and never see it again. But getting back to freelancing, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. You've both been so wonderful and generous with coming on to this panel and discussing all things to do with your work and freelancing. I guess, are there any kind of final rules that you think would be helpful for any freelancers out there? Do you have to get dressed into normal clothes from pajamas, or what are some additional tips and advice that you might be able to bestow?
So I find that having a schedule, and even if it's not 9 to 5, if you find a schedule that kind of works for you, because I know that not everyone's a morning person. So if you wake up at 10 and work until 6, then I think that that's also fine. But I highly recommend against the I wake up at noon and then work until 3 in the morning, and just work until I fall asleep. make a schedule, stick to it. And I also find that changing out of my pajamas helps me a lot mentally. Of like, I'm in the work mode now. But I always advocate for schedule yourself and like stick to it and make it a routine.
Yeah, I completely agree on all those points. For me, if I don't have a strict routine, I just like devolve into chaos and I just don't do anything. So yeah, I definitely change in the morning and do like my whole face routine or whatever. And then proper hours of working. For me, it's like 9 to 5, but of course it could be like whatever suits you best. And then also making sure you take breaks, especially like standing up kind of breaks. I have like an Apple Watch. I used to have a Fitbit, and like they remind you like every hour stand up, because otherwise that's not good for your health. So remembering those types of things is really important. And I think like for me, it was always establish those boundaries of work time versus leisure time.
There's a lot of apps that you can use to like turn off notifications for your email. So I know a lot of tablets right now will have that, where they have a like downtime option. So I have that set. So like I do not see emails past 5 p.m. and I am not tempted to reply to those emails. And yeah, just the work leisure time balance is very important. And like, it's hard right now when everybody's kind of like in their apartment and working from home. And
their Nintendo is literally like 2 feet away.
But I feel like if you have the like setup for your work and don't have as many distractions around you, so like don't have your Switch at your desk, then you won't want to play Animal Crossing. But yeah, just like have your dedicated workspace for work time, and then your dedicated leisure space for I'm having fun time.
I also recommend the Pomodoro Technique. You work for 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25-minute, 5-minute break, and then like a 40-minute break after those 4. Because I get distracted so easily. I keep looking at my phone. But if I have like an actual timer telling me like, okay, in these 25 minutes, you do nothing but work, that really helps me out. So that is something I recommend if you guys have trouble with being distracted and not working.
I was using that one for a bit, but I found that like I was just getting up like every hour or so anyway to like get water or make more tea, and then while like the kettle's boiling, I'll like jumping jacks or walk in place for a while. And just to like get myself exercising maybe. But I find that also helps a lot.
Just touching and adding on to that, actually, just quickly, there's a couple of really good books out there. Like Creota Wilberg has a series called Draw Stronger.
That's a very good book.
I have that one.
And I think they have a few different kind of series like online and obviously the book and stuff. But when you're taking those breaks, like that's something I've heard from like a lot of my artist friends, make time for like not just like stretching and like jumping jacks or whatever, but like, do like stuff for your wrists and everything. So
for your back, your neck and everything.
Your body will thank you in the long run. She says, having come from a chiro appointment earlier, just, it'll thank you.
Also make sure like your work, like your sitting setup or whatever is ergonomic. I've more recently started having, because I'm on a kitchen counter, it's technically my standing desk now. So that really helps. Because otherwise, like I definitely feel it in my knees now. I don't know. I'm getting old.
You got to get one of those like standing mats.
I don't know what that's for. I see it, but I'm like, is it just this cushioning?
I think so. It's just so like your feet aren't completely flat on the ground, I think. I have one in my kitchen and it's very nice.
Okay, cool. I will get one of those then. Thank you.
So before we go, do you each have something you want to give a little shout out to, or let people know where they can find you to chat about this or whatever?
Anoosha?
Yeah.
I guess I should maybe pick one of you to
No,
start.
it's okay.
It's just,
Yeah.
you've both been so good about like just going. So
We were good up until now, but
Yeah.
yes, I am at Foxville_art on Twitter and Instagram. You can find my work on AnooshaSyed.com. As for plugging things, I guess I have a picture book coming out in January called Rise Up and Write It, which is really cute. So you can pre-order that or check it out. And then I also host a YouTube channel. If you just search for Anoosha Syed, you'll find it, where I talk about like art advice and illustration industry stuff, which might be helpful.
Oh, that's really cool. I'll check that out too.
Thank you.
You can find me at Jey Pawlik, which is JeyPawlik, on Twitter, mostly Twitter. I don't use Instagram anymore. And then my portfolio is just J as in the letter, and then PAWLIK at .com. And I post comics and Patreon stuff on Twitter. And I have a book out also called Gender Slices that came out last year at TCAP, and that's available in my store, which you can find from my websites.
Nice.
I
yay.
think that's it.
Amazing. So if you liked this panel and want to check out more of our sessions, we'll be doing those soon, as I think Jay's partner is probably going to swing by and help us with some stuff. But if you want more of this content, and if you want more content from Creator Resource, like Anoosha's butter chicken recipe, you can visit the website, creatorresource.com, or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all at Creator Resource. Additionally, and maybe most importantly, we need your support to keep the lights on. This project, Creator Resource, is a passion project, and it's done in the spare time and energy of its contributors. There's really only a few of us, so we really appreciate anything you can do to help us out and help make this something we can pour more time and energy into.
Stephanie works very hard.
I do so many things, and I want to do all of this stuff for you guys, but it's always very much welcome if you can donate and support us. So this is clearly one of our expanding efforts. We're trying to do some more cool things. My friend Bobby, who is muted, is helping us out on the video production thing, and I'd like to eventually be able to pay him. So please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/creatorresource. We'll be working on some new tiers there soon, so stay tuned for that, and stay tuned at the site for more of this. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Anoosha. And reach out to us if you have any more questions about any of this.